profile. I am Radhika Mujumdar, Videsh Career Mentor, and today I'm going to be telling you all about how you can transition to the field of ML and how you can build your research profile in the field of ML. Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen. Yeah, so today's webinar is going to be all about building your ML research profile. So today we are going to cover how to transition to ML from any field, writing your first ML paper, creating a realistic timeline, and I'm going to be talking something about the SciML Bootcamp. And then at the end, if time permits, we will also take a few question and answers. Now, if today is your first time attending Videsh's webinar, then I would like to give you a quick heads up about what we do and something about our vision. Okay, so Videsh was founded by three co-founders, Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, and Dr. Sridhar, who are award-winning scientists and researchers from IIT Madras, MIT, and Purdue University in the US. Okay, so at the time they were pursuing their PhDs, they realized the importance of research and how underrated research is. Okay, so at the time of their applications, or even at the time when they were in the US, they were pursuing their PhD. They understood that there was no real professional mentorship out there to guide students on how to build their research profile, or nothing about how to write your own research papers. It was just either if you had a professor in touch with, you could take help from your professor. If the professor was not willing to help you, you did not have any help whatsoever, and all help you had was from seniors. Okay, so with this aim, Videsh was founded with an aim to help you land your dream universities, along with helping students to build their research profiles, and along with imparting whatever knowledge that three of these co-founders have in the research domain to students as a professional mentorship. Okay, so that is the overall vision of Videsh. And today we are going to be specifically talking about how to transition to ML. I'm going to be giving you a live case example of Dr. Raj's story, where I'm going to showcase how Dr. Raj, one of our co-founders, transitioned to the field of ML and how exactly this transition happened. Then I'm going to be talking a little bit about the problems with the traditional machine learning courses, or the courses that are available out there, different courses that are there. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. And then I'm going to be moving on to how to write research papers in the field of ML. Then I'm also going to be talking about how to convert your projects to research papers, and then all the basics in detail. I mean, how to write your research paper, all the elements I'll be covering in details. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to be talking now about our co-founder's story, Dr. Raj. So Dr. Raj was, studying at IIT Madras, and he graduated as a BTech in mechanical engineering in 2017. Okay, so at that time, he had applied to MIT for a PhD in mechanical engineering itself. Okay, so he had no knowledge or no intention of, or he did not even know that there was a field that existed, a field like ML that existed. So he had basically applied to MIT. He got to MIT with a full 100% scholarship. And at the time he was in MIT in his first or second year, what happened was he happened to attend a career fair. And during that time, actually, he observed that the job opportunities or the companies that were coming to the campus were not actually having too many jobs in the core domain, or the jobs that were available in the core domain were very traditional. And there were a lot of courses, or there were a lot of jobs available in this machine learning domain. Okay, so at that time, I'm talking about 2018 or 2019. Okay, so just before COVID. And during that time, ML was a comparatively new field. Nobody knew about ML, but then in US, jobs had started to come up, and there was an increasing demand for people who knew the basics of machine learning. Okay, so that was how he stumbled upon machine learning. And then what happened was, during one of his conferences, when he went to present a paper, he happened to meet one of the professor who was also involved in a research group that was related to machine learning, and that is how he invited Dr. Raj to his research group, because Dr. Raj was naturally drawn towards this new field, and the rest is history. So what happened actually was Dr. Raj graduated with a PhD in machine learning from MIT, but he had gone to MIT with an aim to pursue PhD in mechanical engineering. But then he totally transitioned his field, took a few classes, did a lot of research, wrote a lot of research papers. He worked hard, and then he graduated with a PhD in machine learning. Okay, so my whole point by giving you this live story, live example, is basically that anybody can transition to the field of machine learning. You just need to have a proper guidance. You need to have somebody to guide you, and a proper foundation that needs to be set. It's not very important to have a high level knowledge of this field. It's very important to have a correct guidance, and that is what is something that we are aiming to do through this webinar. Okay, these are some of the papers that Dr. Raj published, and this is the time exactly when COVID came, and a lot of impactful papers were published in this particular field by Dr. Raj, and they were very, very impactful papers at that time. So this was some of the work that he did. This Sandia report, if you can see, this is the work that he did for the US government. So if you can see that, Dr. Raj, when he transitioned to ML, a lot of opportunities, a lot of doors opened up for him. Though he was from a core background, he smoothly transitioned to the field of machine learning. However, the guidance that he received from his professor was invaluable to him, and such kind of guidance is something that we aim to do through Videsh. Okay, so my main point is, how was this possible? He did not have any background in computer science. He did not take any DS algorithm courses. He did not take any CS courses basically in his undergraduate studies. He was a core mechanical engineer, and with absolutely no idea of what ML was, and he had aimed to pursue a PhD in mechanical engineering itself. So how exactly was this possible? He actually, what happened was, he accidentally stumbled upon this particular field, and that is something, if you are consciously aiming for this kind of transition, what you should do is you should build a very strong foundation of machine learning, and then you should proceed towards research. So you should write your first research paper in the ML field. Okay, I'll take you through these parts one by one, but then a lot of doors, like I said, opened up for him. He received a lot of job offers from Facebook, Amazon, Julia Computing. So as compared to the core field, this particular field had a lot of opportunities, a lot of research options, a lot of new results that were very impactful, and overall it was a very good decision for Dr. Raj. But then what he realized during this whole process was that the way traditional machine learning is taught is not correct for engineers. Okay, so I'll take you later on in one of my slides through one of the courses that MIT offers, and I'll tell you what exactly the problem is with those kind of courses. But then the way traditional ML is taught is not correct, and the students from any field can transition to the field of machine learning. Okay, so maybe you're from any field, it does not matter. You can successfully transition to the field of ML. If not only transition, you can also add ML knowledge to your portfolio. Okay, whether you're applying for jobs or whether you're applying to graduate schools, having a knowledge in machine learning is very, very crucial these days. And it's completely fine if you're not completely transitioning to the field of machine learning. It's always good to have ML experience in your profile. Okay, and then the third and the most important thing that he realized was that there should be a lot more emphasis on ML research. Okay, so the myth actually is that research is only for people who are applying for PhDs, or people who are already in their PhDs, or people applying to grad schools. But that's not actually the case. Even people who are working professionals can have research in their profiles and can update or elevate their profiles by having a research experience. Okay, so that is why if you want to gain a successful knowledge of machine learning, or you want to completely transition to this field, having a knowledge of ML research is very important. That is, you should have done basic research in the field of machine learning. That is how you're going to have hands-on experience in this field, and that is how you're going to be able to successfully add this experience to your profile. Okay, so I'll take you through a few of the problems that the traditional ML courses have. So this is one of the curriculum of one of the courses that MIT is offering for free. So this is the course that they are offering. This is there for free, and if you can see the week 1, week 2, week 3 contents, you can see that till the theory part it's fine: linear algebra, probability review, then introduction to ML, linear classifiers, etc. And then the real problem is when they start doing the projects. Okay, so if you can see project 1, project 2, project 3, and project 4, these projects basically are not related to any domain of any person's field of interest or field of study actually. And this course basically is focusing a lot on imbibing the theory concepts and then doing some toy projects at the end, which are not going to add any real ML experience to your profile. Okay, so the problem with this course essentially is that the projects part. Okay, so if you can see, the project 1 is the automatic review analyzer. This is basically related to reviews. The second project is the digit recognition project. The third project is collaborative filtering, so Netflix movie recommendations. And then the next project is the sentiment analysis game. So if you can see, neither of anybody's field is aligning with these toy projects. And even if you have these toy projects on your profile, it's a very good way, of course, to start with ML through these projects, but that is not where you should stop. Okay, you should always go ahead, one step ahead, and do some more work in the field of ML. You should not stop here and update your profile only by adding these projects in your GitHub portfolio, because that is not definitely not going to help, because these are just toy projects and everybody has such kind of projects in their portfolio. So this is the problem with the way traditional ML is taught. Till the theory part, they're fine, everything is going well. But then as soon as the implementation or hands-on part is coming, they are taking up toy projects, which are not related to anybody's domain, and they don't add any kind of real experience. Okay, so these are the projects that universities like MIT, even when they're offering courses to students, they are including such projects in their course syllabus. So that is not something you should be doing. Of course, like I said, you can start with these projects, but don't stop here. Okay, you can't say that you have ML experience or you can transition to ML just by doing this course and doing this toy projects. That is not enough. Everybody has such toy projects in their portfolios. So like I said, these projects don't show how to combine ML with domain specific knowledge. And the next problem is publishing research papers using these toy projects is not possible. So taking up a research paper using these projects is completely impossible, because these are toy projects and there is no research scope in these projects, and nobody is going to take these projects seriously. Okay, because they are not related to any of your domains at all. And then what essentially we are aiming at is guiding students to transition to this field of ML, or to have an experience of ML in their profile by not leaving their core domain. Okay, so may it be you're in CS field, maybe mechanical, electrical, any field, not just engineering, any kind of field. You can always add ML experience to your profile, even if you're from economics, finance background. That is also completely possible. Our students have published amazing research papers who are in the field of economics, finance, etc. So there are a lot of interesting research papers that you can publish by combining economics or finance with ML. So those of you who are not from engineering background, it's not necessarily compulsory that you have to be from engineering background to add this kind of ML experience to your profile. But then anybody can transition or add ML experience to their profile, but without leaving their main domain. Okay, I am now going to show you a few examples of projects or papers that can be converted into a successful research papers. Okay, so these are projects from different domains that we've selected, just to show the diversity of projects or options connections that are available, and the topics, how diverse the topics can be and how well related they can be to your own domain, and you can combine ML with these projects and convert these projects to a research paper. Okay, so the first project can be like how to use ML to model COVID-19 infections from all regions of the world. And then the second project can be probably for people in the chemical domain, how to recover a chemical reaction equation from data alone. So things like these, or topics like these are extremely interesting and can have novel research results when converted into a research paper. Okay, then probably for scientists or physicists out there, using ML to predict black hole dynamics, and then using ML to predict economic market forces like supply and demand. So for economics people basically, and then for a biologist, maybe project can be something like using ML for biochemistry. So and then for mech people, using ML to analyze fluid mechanics, climate problems, etc. And then so things like these, these projects that I just demonstrated right now are extremely important for you to know that may it be from any kind of domain, you can transition or you can add this ML experience to your field. Okay, it's completely possible, but then it's also important for you to not leave your main domain. It's very important for you to stick to your domain and add this kind of ML and have a very good research paper at the intersection of your domain and the field of machine learning to produce a very impactful research paper. Okay, and what will happen essentially if you learn to do these projects on your own? What will happen if one of these projects or one of these topics you select and you decide to convert one of these topics to a research paper, or anything that you have on your mind? Probably you might be getting a lot of ideas right now, but then how will it benefit you? So you will have a very strong foundation in ML because you would have implemented yourself the basic fundamentals of machine learning, and you would have obtained new results using those fundamentals. Okay, you would have also learned how to integrate machine learning in your field, may it be for transition purposes or just adding an experience to your profile. And you can also do independent research in your field of study. Like I said, the project examples that I just showed you, what you can do essentially is you can pick up one of these topics on your own, you can intersect that with ML, and then you can produce a very impactful paper and then submit it to very good ML journals, okay, or conferences. And then these projects can be very successfully added to your profile, may it be for people who are applying to ML jobs, or people who are looking to update their profile and who are looking to transition to machine learning in their career, or for people who are looking to add an ML experience to their profile when they're applying for grad schools. Okay, so for whatever opportunity or whatever your end aim is, what you should do and how you should proceed will stay the same. You will need to have an implementation knowledge of machine learning without leaving your main domain. Okay, so if you learn to do these projects on your own, like I said, you can update your CV with all of these additional projects. Okay, and then these projects, when we convert it into a research paper, of course you can add it under your publication section in your resume, because you'll be submitting this research paper to different journals and conferences. And then you will also be able to work on literature review, preprints, journal submissions. So you will have research paper writing experience as well, and then you can apply to companies or jobs with domain plus ML knowledge requirements. Okay, so this is a very important point for people who are looking to transition their career to the field of machine learning, and in like the job kind of perspective. So for this, you can add this experience to your resume, and that will be a very impactful point in your resume. And then later on, I'll come to this point of how you can collaborate with us to write a research paper, and then how you can reach out to professors in the SciML domain, okay, to secure projects, and then use these projects to improve grad school profile. So if you can see here, I have mentioned how you can apply to companies or jobs with domain plus ML knowledge requirements, and here I have mentioned also how it will help you in your grad school applications. Okay, so your profile will actually be elevated a lot when you add this such kind of research experience experience to your profile, and that will make your profile stand in a completely different league. Like I said, people from any background can transition to the field of machine learning, and people from CS background as well will have a little bit of advantage because they have taken courses on DS, algorithms, etc. So they will have a bit of an advantage here. But then we also have people from finance, economics, like I said, other people from other fields, robotics, civil, finance, any field who can take this ML experience and transition to the field of machine learning. Okay, so list of resources that you can transition to ML with will basically be, we have this playlist that we have on YouTube, and you can always get started with this playlist whenever, if you're looking to start with learning about basics of ML. So we have this playlist by Dr. Raj on our YouTube channel, if you can find, which is called Teach by Doing. Okay, so this playlist basically will target the basics of machine learning, and it's very important for you to go through this entire playlist. Okay, at the end of this webinar, we'll also be sharing other playlist with you, where if you finish this playlist, you can go to some other playlist. The very important point that we have observed related to people who are viewing this playlist is that they leave it by after attending the first or second lecture. It's very important for you to be extremely consistent if you are trying to gain knowledge in machine learning and you are looking at these playlists. It's important for you to go through every video sequentially, and it's also important for you to dedicate every time in every day in your busy schedules to accommodate having a look at this particular video. Okay, so this is the list of resources that you can get started on for free. That is a free playlist available on our YouTube channel. So that is how you can get started with the basics. And now we'll be moving on to the paper outline. Okay, so having emphasized a lot on how important it is to build a research profile and how important it is to write a research paper in your domain and at the intersection of your domain and machine learning, I will take you through a few basics on how you should write your research paper, the basics of research paper writing, and then a few details about that as well. So if you can see the screen, the first 12 points that I have mentioned are basically the components of a research paper. Okay, so right from the first topic to the 12th topic are all the points that constitute a research paper, and out of that, the title, abstract, introduction, tables, and figures constitute a paper outline. So a paper outline will basically be a skeleton of your research paper, and I'm going to be taking you through every point in the paper outline. Okay, but then a paper outline is tremendously important to finish your paper, because first of all, when we collaborate with students to write a research paper, we focus on writing a paper outline, and then we move on to expanding the paper outline and then writing the manuscript. Okay, so the template that you can choose in this case is either the MS Word template or the overleaf template. Okay, so the overleaf is a very easy tool to use. It converts your text into latex document, which looks extremely professional, and that is what we encourage our students to use when they're writing a research paper. So it makes your paper look extremely professional, and we recommend you to use this overleaf template instead of the MS Word template. So taking you through the first parts of the paper outline, that is the title. So title is basically consisting of 10 to 12 words. It should not be more than 10 to 12 words, and it should give a direct insight into what your paper is going to be about. Okay, so it should give basically a complete insight or complete details of what exactly your paper consists of, and that is how a very strong title is considered as. It's considered as a strong title is considered as something which will immediately upon viewing will give an idea of what your paper is exactly about. Okay, next we go to the abstract. Okay, so abstract is basically a 200 to 300 word essay that will essentially tell you the summary. I mean, it will actually tell you what exactly the paper is about. Okay. So if you look at the abstract, we have divided the abstract into 4 parts. Okay. So for your ease of understanding, it may seem overwhelming at first to write a 200-300 word essay, but for your ease of understanding, we have divided the abstract into 4 parts. Basically, the abstract will consist of, first part will be the large scale problem. If you can see, we also call this the hourglass approach, because the first and the fourth part will apply to a wider audience, because the first part will focus on the large scale problem and the fourth part will focus on wider implications. So this will cater to a larger audience, and the second and the third part will consist of specific challenge and specific merits and details of your approach. Okay, so the second and third part will apply to a very expert specific crowd in that domain, and that is why we call it as the hourglass approach. Okay, so the first part will be what is the problem, the second part will be the specifics and how you are going to address this problem, and the fourth part is going to be how your paper broadly benefits others. Okay, so what we encourage students to do is write a point wise abstract first. It's not really necessary to write an entire essay of 200 words. It's very important first that you write these 4 points, and then later on we are going to expand this abstract. Okay. Next, we move on to the introduction section. So introduction section is also extremely important, and it tells the significance of your paper. Okay, basically the introduction section focuses on the novelty of your paper, and it actually is a very good insight, and it's very actually, it gives the reader, the reviewer, not just an idea of what you're doing, but exactly about the details of how you have approached this particular problem and what novel results have you presented. Okay, so basically the introduction is a 1,000 to 1,500 word essay, and that is also, that can be a bit overwhelming when I just talk about writing a 1,500 word essay, and it kind of can be overwhelming. Okay, so how do you do it, how do you approach the introduction section? We've also divided this section into 5 parts, and then this section also you're supposed to write in the bullet pointed version. Okay, so we'll expand it later on. Okay, so the first part of the introduction is what is the problem. Okay, you're supposed to write 5 very clear points in the introduction section. So first point will be what is the problem, second point will be how are people trying to solve this problem, the third problem is what are the issues with the current approaches. Okay, so the second point basically will be how are people trying to solve this. Here you can mention the references as well. Okay, it is important for you to mention the references as a bullet pointed version in your introduction section itself, because we are going to have a references section at the complete end, and I'm going to be taking you through that as well. But then for now it is important for you to understand that you can include the references point wise in your introduction section. Okay, the third point will be what are the current issues, what are the issues with the current approaches. Okay, so it's a very clear point wise details that you can write, and this is somehow not will not be very overwhelming. Okay, and then fourth and the most important point is what do you propose. Okay, so what have you done, how your results are novel, and what exactly have you proposed in your paper. That will be the fourth point, and fifth point will be large scale implications of your solution. Okay, so these 5 points, then later on we are going to be expanding it into a 1,500 a 1,200 1,500 word essay. And like I said, I'm going to repeat once again that you also need to write a references section here, so that we can expand that section later on in as a separate section. Okay, so this is about the introduction, and then we now come to the fourth part of the paper outline, that is the figures. Okay, so figures, as you can know from the name, that are a very visual interpretation to your research paper, and figures actually catch the viewer's eye very fast. So it's important that your figures are well aligned and they are completely related to one another. Okay, figures are very very important because, like I said, that is the first thing that the reader notices in your paper, and hence it's extremely important to keep in mind these 6 points. Okay, so your figure should have a high resolution, it should have legible access text and labels, it should have consistent choice of colors, there should be incredibly well aligned with subfigures, and then there should be titles, legends, and subfigure numbers. And the size and color of markers is also very, very important. Okay, so these 6 points are very, very crucial for you to remember whenever you're inserting figures into your paper. Figures can be inserted using overleaf as well. That makes it comparatively easier to insert figures. Of course, you can insert figures using Canva AI or a typical Excel or a PPT. Okay, so that's also completely fine. But make sure you remember the 6 points that I mentioned for you to have a very good figure. Okay, this is just an example that is mentioned where you can see that a very good figure, what a very good figure looks like. So the figure which is an ideal figure has a figure number, title, subfigure number, and subfigure description. There is consistent font color, font size, uh, legible access, and then labels. Okay, so if you can see, every figure has to be labeled, and the font etc is looks very simple when I say it, but then it's very important not to be inconsistent with the font. Okay, because that really does not create a very good impression on the admissions, on the reviewers. Okay, so that's very important. And then, like I said, you can also insert figures in overleaf. Okay, we are now moving on to the fifth part of the paper outline, that is the tables. Okay, so like the figures, tables also give a visual representation, and everything that you can convert into a table, you should try to convert your text into table as far as possible. But then here also, for tables also, it's very important to label the tables, and it's very important also to maintain consistent font, consistent size of font, and have every table labeled and have every table related to one another. So that consistency is also extremely important. You can also insert tables from overleaf. So from overleaf, basically you can insert tables, figures, you can use the overleaf template. That is actually a very good way to begin writing your research paper. Okay, like I said, I will be coming on to the section where we will be adding the references part. But first of all, what I want to tell you is that, the bullet pointed paper outline. Okay, so now we are at the stage where we have completed writing the paper outline. First title, second abstract, third introduction, fourth figures, and fifth tables. Okay, so these 5 points will form the basic structure, basic skeleton of your paper. And what we have to do next is we have to expand these bullet pointed versions into paragraphs and essays. Okay, and now, like I said, we have already added the point-wise references section in our introduction, but then the references is a completely separate section, and that is where we are supposed to expand the references section. Okay, under this particular section. Okay, the next section is acknowledgement. So the acknowledgement is also a very simple section, and whenever you'll go through different papers from literature study, you will understand how acknowledgements are written. I've just given a short example here. An acknowledgement can be something like, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Raj, Dr. Rajat, Dr. Sridhar for their invaluable guidance, etc. So this is how an acknowledgement can look like, and this is a comparatively simple section. Okay, now we are at a point where we are done with the main body, and we are done with the introduction, we are done with the paper outline, we are done with references and acknowledgement section. And yes, we have also converted the bullet pointed introduction into the full blown essay. Okay, now there's another section at the end of the paper, that is the conclusion section. Okay, so the conclusion section, the length of this section also is similar to that of the abstract, and it is a very comparatively a very simple section that quickly summarizes the paper, and it actually mentions the important takeaways of the paper. Okay, so this is just like the name suggests, it's a conclusion. Okay, now we are at the stage where we have already proceeded with all of the important sections, and now we are going to write the entire paper manuscript. Okay, there's another important section here, that is supplementary materials. If you there is something that you wanted to add in any of your sections, but you did not add, you can always add a supplementary section at the end, and then you can add figures, text, data, code, or anything else that you want in the supplementary section. Okay. Yeah, now I'm going to be talking a little bit about the writing style. Okay, so the section that I'm going to talk about now may seem like a very basic, simple section, and many of you will already know about this. But then these are some of the mistakes students make when they are writing the paper. So it's very important for us to tell you not to make those mistakes, so that you're consciously not making them. Okay. So it's very important to maintain an active voice when you're writing the paper instead of a passive voice. An active voice looks something like this. We perform the imaging using SEM. So it actually holds you accountable, and it actually feels as if you have done the experiment yourself, and you are very much involved in doing or attaining results. Okay. And then the passive voice looks something like this. The imaging was performed using SEM. Okay. So what the passive voice is saying is that you were somewhere far and you were not actually there, but you are observing something and reporting something. So that does not actually make you very very strong, your position very strong. So it's very important to use active writing style instead of passive writing style. Now it's also important to use tenses. Okay, to use the correct tenses for writing your paper. Okay, as a rule of thumb, you can use present tense for analysis and conclusions, and past tense for experiments conducted. Okay, so this can be a rule of thumb, and that is how you can differentiate between past and present tense, so that there is no confusion. Now we are going to be talking a little bit about grammar and spelling mistakes. Okay, so if you know, there are tools available like Grammarly, where a grammar mistake is a strict no-no, and spelling mistakes or vocab mistakes are also a big no-no. Okay, so here is where we would suggest you actually to take a complete printout, go the complete old-fashioned way. Take a printout of your entire paper manuscript, sit with a highlighter in your hand, and be your own critic. Okay, go through every line, every word in your paper manuscript, and try to find as many mistakes as possible, and try to highlight those mistakes. Okay, try to find any writing mistakes, any tense mistakes, any active passive voice mistakes, probably any grammar or any vocab or spelling mistakes, and then be your own critic. Okay, underline or highlight everything that you can find, and then that is how you will ensure that no such mistakes are made, because then that's a strict no at this time, and will not be tolerated at all by the reviewers. Okay, so now we are at the point where we have completed our paper manuscript. We have checked our paper manuscript. Our writing style is perfect. Our usage of tense is perfect. We have not made any grammar mistakes, any vocab spelling mistakes, etc. Now we are at the stage where we are going to identify the journal for submission. Okay, so now we are at a stage where we are ready to submit our paper manuscript to either a journal or a conference. Okay, so how do you identify a journal? A journal basically is identified based on similar topics, similar research papers that were published in the same journal. Okay, so you look for topics on Google Scholar, and then find the journals in which similar papers are published, because it's highly unlikely that you will have written a research paper that has no reference at all, or nobody has ever done any work on the topic that they've chosen. So that's not possible. And you will always find journals in which similar papers are published. Okay, so that is how you are supposed to identify the journals, and then write those journals in a table format. And then the second column will be about the impact factor. Okay, so the impact factor of the journal is actually how many citations the journal journal has, and that can be from 1 to 3 or 3 to 10. 3 to 10 is considered very good. So if every journal has an impact factor, you can mention an impact factor in the second column. And third column will be the cost of publishing. Okay, so even if your paper gets accepted or rejected in any journal, you still have to pay the cost of publishing. However, there are also journals where there is no cost of publishing that is there, but then most of the good journals have a cost of submission. Okay, so at the time you submit your paper, there will be a cost associated and you will have to pay that price. Okay, about conferences, you can submit to conferences. There is no conference fee that you are supposed to pay at the time of submission. But then if your paper gets accepted at any conference, and if you are chosen to present there, you will have to take care of all the travel and accommodation, because wherever the conference is located in the world, you'll have to go and present there. Okay, so that is the difference between the journals and conferences, right? Now I'm going to be talking about how we can help you, how we can help you to transition to machine learning, or how we can help you to add machine learning experience in your profile by writing a research paper in the field of ML. Okay, so how you can transition to the field of ML, how you can do impactful projects, and how you can do ML related research. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this on website. I'm also going to be first of all taking you through the curriculum. Just a moment. So our SciML Bootcamp basically is consisting of four plans, and we have four ways in which we can collaborate with you and help you to transition to machine learning. So I'll take you through the four plans that we have in detail, so that you will also get an idea of what we are doing and how we are helping you to add this ML experience in your profile. Okay, and so the first point, the first plan is the student plan. Okay, so the student plan basically consists of, as you can see, look at this. So the student part, basically student plan will consist of pre-recorded lectures, which will start with transitioning to ML, and then what is Julia, differential equations in Julia, ML basics, three pillars of ML learning, and then hands-on research projects. Okay, so this is what is included in the student plan. The student plan is completely self-paced. So quickly to summarize, it is basically a plan which has pre-recorded lectures and homework assignments, but there is no personalized guidance that you'll be getting at the end of this student plan. So this is a completely self-paced plan, and the only thing that you will get an access to is the pre-recorded lectures, videos, and code files. Okay, so the next plan is the community plan. Okay, so this is an extension of the student plan in a way that you'll be added to a community, to a Discord community, and where you'll be able to interact with the rest of the participants also who have joined the SciML bootcamp. Along with the lectures, pre-recorded lectures, there will be homework assignments where you will get personalized assistance from, and that actually is a part where a lot of students get a lot of help, and that is where actually your doubts get cleared. Okay, so this is an extension of the student plan. Again, this plan is also a self-paced plan. Okay, the next and a very popular plan is the researcher plan. Okay, so the researcher plan is an extension of the community plan, in a way that in addition to the community plan, the second part of this program will heavily focus on writing a research paper. Okay, so the projects that I just showed you in my slides, we can pick up a project of having such a topic, and then we can integrate that with ML and write a very impactful research paper. So a very important part of this plan basically is the research paper writing, which you will get complete assistance on, and that is how you will be successfully able to elevate your profile, either if you're applying for grad schools, or whether or not you are looking for a transition in your career. Okay, or a job change. So the researcher plan timeline basically is the first part. Like I said, the community plan takes about 1 to 1.5 months. Again, that is a self-paced plan. But then the researcher plan is for the duration of 4 months. Okay, so you're supposed to finish the first part in 1.5 months, and the next part of the researcher plan takes about 2.5 months to finish. And that is when our paper manuscript is finished, and then we submit it to different conferences, different journals, which are very specific to the ML field. Okay, so that is the whole way in which the researcher plan works. The next plan is the industry professional plan. So this is an extension of the SciML researcher plan, and the topic that will be selected in this particular plan, the industry professional plan, is very much related to the industry. So this is basically for industry professionals, right? So these are the four plans in our SciML bootcamp, and the curriculum that you can see here is basically for the researcher plan. Okay, so that is the most common plan and the most popular plan that students and working professionals prefer, because it is highly impactful. Also, at the end of completion of the researcher and the industry professional plan, you'll be getting a Julia Hub certificate also. So recently we have collaborated with Julia Hub, and you'll be getting a certificate from them as well. So that also will add a very heavy weightage to your profile going forward. The projects that you will be doing in the community plan, the researcher plan, and the industry professional plan, in addition to the research component, will be these particular topics. They will be mixing physics with ML, and then black hole modeling with ML. Okay, so these are some of the projects that are not available anywhere else. These are not toy projects and completely new, so you will be able to work on them hands on, then add them to your profile very effectively. And these are some of the examples of how you can publish your first ML paper. So these are some of the examples that I've just mentioned here, and your paper also can look something like this. Okay, so this is how you can publish a very impactful paper by not leaving your core domain, and also integrating your core domain with ML. Okay. So like I said, yeah, these are four plans that you can choose from, and these are some of the testimonials that we have. Okay, so this plan was extremely beneficial for students and working professionals, and in a way that all of the students or working professionals who were either applying for grad schools really received very good results. Their papers were accepted in very, very good conferences, and they received admits from very good universities. And this basically, this course is designed at improving fundamentals and having that hands-on implementation knowledge that is not provided by any other course. Okay, so these are some of the testimonials that our students have given, and may it be for a job change, or may it be for grad school applications, participants have found it very, very helpful. Okay, I just forgot to mention a point, that in the SciML community researcher and the industry professional plan, you'll also be added to a Discord channel in all of these three plans, where you'll be able to interact with fellow participants as well. Okay, and then what we will do is we will help you with the following. You can confidently transition to ML from any field. You can also update your profile with adding an ML experience, and then you can master the field of SciML. Okay, and then we can also help you to implement domain specific real life hands-on projects. So that is also something that we can help you with. You can also learn how to convert ML projects into research publications. So the projects that I showed you previously in my slides, you can take up one of this project or one of this idea that you have, and then we can convert it into ML projects. We can convert your ML projects into research publications. And of course, you can add these projects and this research experience to your CV to make a very impactful profile for industry or for grad school. Okay, so this is just a glimpse of life at MIT, how it looks like. Just a picture inserted for motivation. This is an experience that Dr. Sridath had during his time at MIT. It was a very culturally enriching experience for him, and a very kind of overall, it was a very good learning experience for him. Okay. So now we are almost coming to the end of this webinar. So, if you're interested in the SciML Bootcamp, or if you're interested to know about which bootcamp is more suitable for you, or if you want to make a transition to the field of ML, or if you just want to know about, considering your profile, what options are available to add this ML experience to your profile, you can just reach out to us at hello@flyvidesh.com, and you can get in touch with us. Okay, so in the email, please mention all the details, as many details as possible. If you have done any kind of research projects, if you have done any kind of work in your undergrad or your graduate studies, or any kind of projects that you've done, or any ideas that you have, please share as many details as possible, so it will be easy for us to reply to you. Okay, so mention as many details as possible, and if possible also mention your career aspirations, so that it will be very easy for us to guide you further. Okay, now we are almost at the end of this webinar, and we have with us our co-founders on this call. So if I will just stop sharing my screen, and if there are some questions that they'd like to take, I'll stop sharing my screen. So over to you, Dr. Raj and Dr. Rajat.
Yes, thanks, Radhika, for this presentation. I will try to answer some questions in the chat. So there is a question that can residents from outside India also enroll in one of these plans? Yes, so most of the participants in the scientific machine learning bootcamp, they are from US, Europe, and many other countries. So it's not only restricted to India, but enrollment can be done from other countries as well. And even for computer science, actually, 20% of the participants in the SciML Bootcamp are from computer science. So let me just share my screen and explain a bit about how computer science people can use this bootcamp to publish their paper. So let's say if you are in CS, you can do what I did when I published my first paper in scientific ML. So this was my first paper, and I had integrated machine learning with epidemiology. Whereas all other CS students in my batch, they were only doing machine learning or deep learning specific projects. But I had actually integrated ML with a very real life problem. So that's what can distinguish you even as a CS student compared to the other students. So this bootcamp is not only meant for non-CS students, but CS students can also enroll and we can do impactful projects together. One more thing which I want to share with respect to research is our generative AI professional bootcamp. So I'll share the link on the chat. This is the link for the generative AI professional bootcamp. And I'll also share the link for the SciML bootcamp actually. And this is the link for the SciML bootcamp. There is a bit of a difference between these two plans. In the scientific ML bootcamp, the main goal is to publish a paper at the intersection of a domain field and scientific and machine learning. Let's say we can integrate physics plus ML, etc., to model black hole dynamics. That can be a SciML project. But in generative AI, the focus is completely different. So if you go to the generative AI bootcamp, and if you click on access the bootcamp PDF, you'll see the list of research project topics which we do. So if you scroll down below, you'll see the list of research projects. As you can see, these topics are completely in the field of large language models, multimodal LLMs, etc. So this is purely LLMs. This will not integrate any physical domain, let's say. So if you are in CS, if you're in CS background, this is also one more bootcamp which you can explore to publish a research paper. And as we explain in at the end of every webinar, research is very important to distinguish yourself from others now. The value of projects is diminishing with respect to time because now everyone can do projects using tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc. But the value of research will only continue to increase. Why? Because it's very difficult to publish a research paper. And the novelty in a research paper is not easy to finish a paper within, let's say, 2 months or 1 month. It needs dedicated time and effort. And that's why having research projects add so much value to your profile, no matter whether you are going for a grad school application or whether you are going for a job transition within your company itself. Yeah, there is one more document actually which I would like to share for ML transition. Let me just share that document with all of you. Yes, so this is the list of resources document to transition to ML, and I'm just going to share it in the chat so that all of you can access it. If you see, we have this FPR philosophy, right, which is F for fundamentals, P for projects, and R for research. So in this one document, we have given links to all of our introductory playlists on YouTube. These three are our introductory playlists in machine learning, deep learning, and decision trees. Then these are the practical projects, but these are toy projects which you can start with. And once you finish going through the fundamentals, and once you finish going through the practical concepts, then you come to the R, which is the research. So to transition successfully to ML field from whichever field you are in, you need to have this FPR approach. The mistake which students do is that they only start with P and then they put these projects onto the resume. But that actually, not only it does not add value to a resume, but it goes in a reverse direction because it's pretty clear that a student is not a serious ML person. But instead, if you have done fundamentals, you will be able to answer interview questions. And if you have done research, that will uh, in turn make your profile even more stronger. And as I mentioned, there are two avenues to explore research: scientific ML bootcamp and generative AI bootcamp. One more link which is not mentioned here is actually the build LLM from scratch. So we have a YouTube playlists related to this, and it is this one. This is also one of our very
always wondered why that app
one of our
didn't.
very popular playlists. So you can see with respect to the number of views here. If you want to get started with learning LLMs and generative AI, this is the playlist which is recommended. I'll also share this link in the chat with all of you. So maybe before ending, I'll take one last question in the chat, which is what is in it for telecommunications domain? So essentially, if you're in telecommunications, right, you can enroll in the generative AI bootcamp because there are a huge number of research problems which can be solved using language modeling in telecommunications. As long as there is data in the form of text, audio, or video, we can always formulate a generative AI or a large language model research project at the intersection of your field with LLMs, let's say. And generative AI bootcamp is not only meant for CS background; it's open to all backgrounds, no matter which domain or which field you belong to. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Radhika, for conducting this excellent webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.